Oh, what's up? Oh, look. You see, I'm a rookie. I'm a rookie up here.
No, you're not. You did this before.
Right.
Season
Being modest.
I'm a rookie.
No.
Pretty soon so have like a big made up speech. Come on.
I got the pleasure of introducing our next guest, gentleman here, who I gotta tread lightly, because of his profession. If you don't tread lightly, you might end up on one of his next, shows or something like that. But I have my man Pumkin Escobar here.
What's up?
Right?
What's
well,
up,
how you
what's
doing,
up?
brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
How you
man.
doing?
I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you on the show. Pumkin Escobar is a comedian from the great Harlem.
Yes, indeed.
Harlem, New York.
Building.
Look.
Twice, at least.
Twice.
Look at that.
That's all you need is one.
So, just to really get off, like I said, it's a pleasure to have you here. So tell me a little bit about, when I look at comedians, I'm like, you guys must be, I would love to see how your brain works, just because I know some people say I'm funny, and I'm like, nah, I'm not funny. But like when people like you who are like genuinely funny, how does it come so quick? So tell me a little bit about like you jumping into the comedic world and things of that nature.
I just decided that I couldn't sit in an office, surrounded by, those felt cubicles that are basically generally engineered to drain the life out of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I could push papers around in my own house. You know what I'm saying?
And that's how you become a comedian.
Right.
So how long? Well, before we get into how long you've been doing it, Pumkin Escobar. How did that name come about?
All right, I gotta tell a story. I was at the time. What happened was I was working at a youth development agency by the name of the Harlem Children's Zone.
Okay.
So I was teaching illustration after school, and one of my fellow colleagues. That's a redundancy, but we're gonna get past that.
Right, I'm like, is it your friend? Or?
Yeah, she was like, she was like, "Are you on Facebook?" And I was like, "Facebook? That for college kids?" She was like, "Nah, they opened it up to everybody, so now everybody's on." I was like, "Yeah, okay, all right, whatever." But I knew that, employers
They
were going on people's social media and observing their lives and then kind of judging how they were going to treat them in the workplace or if they were going to keep them in the workplace.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? I ain't going to put my name on there. Let me see. I need a pseudonym. And at the time, I was watching a lot of Jay and Silent Bob
Jay and
Strike
Silent
Back.
Bob, yes.
Tracy Morgan, the incredible cameo, Hollywood drug dealer, Pumkin Escobar. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go with that. But I wasn't doing stand-up comedy at that time. I was like still in, because I started like back in like 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then I stopped for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It was only supposed to be a short time, and it turned into a long time.
Okay.
But so when I got back into it, I started to, I just was like, you got to direct people to your social media, like Pumkin Escobar on Facebook.
I like that.
That's how it happened.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that, actually. Let me ask you this. I know a lot of comedians deal with things internally and then they put it out in the material. Does that ever happen with you? Your pains, the things that you go through, the things that you find hard to laugh at, sometimes you put into your script and find that other people have been through it as well and laugh at it?
Well, sometimes some of the stuff, sometimes the internal stuff, it can be a little, and I don't know if people will relate to it. I've tried to kind of deal with, personal kind of relationship shit online. I mean, not online, but like on stage. and it didn't really translate, like, I had this situation one time. I was dating this woman, and it wasn't working out. It wasn't working out, and so I was at her place, and it was like the breakup conversation.
Oh, it ain't you, it's me.
Yeah, but I don't know what was going on. But she had a condo, and it was a nice place. But there was something happening. I was sitting on the sofa, and I swear to God, something was biting me, like some insects.
No.
So I don't know if anybody's ever had a breakup story where they were getting,
breakups and bed bugs.
Yeah, exactly. Getting, fed on by, I don't know if they was working for, if they hated me too. I didn't know what was going on.
It made the breakup easier.
Well, not at the moment. At the moment, I was like, what in the hell? Is anybody else
feeling this?
Anybody else feel these bites?
Is it just me?
Yeah, exactly. I was alone in that situation.
So you was scarred.
Pick up my phone and call Roscoe. I'm like, yo.
So Pumpkin, I know you forever, and I know you by another name, so I'm gonna call you Pumpkin throughout this show.
Yeah, okay. For branding purposes.
Okay, for branding purposes. So, growing up in Harlem and then changing your and deciding to become a comedian, the good thing about you also uplift other comedians. And so what made you want to do that? I mean, sometimes we kind of want to get settled in our own space before we start bringing people on.
Bring people up.
Well, that's a good question. I was basically, I was like, I need to make sure that I can secure stage time for myself. Mm-hmm. So, doing stand-up comedy, you gotta. There's a process to it. Not to give away too many industry secrets or whatever. Not that they're secrets. You find out immediately once you start to do this thing. But securing stage time at clubs and all of that stuff, you got to do a lot of, you got to either bark. That's where you stand outside and you try to draw people, foot traffic, people on the street into the club to see the show. A lot of people just kind of idly walking around looking for something to do. You try to kind of get them to come in. And the other way is to do like a show where you bring X amount of people to the club to see you, and then you secure your stage time that way. My human resources were kind of dried up at the time.
Sure,
so I was
got it.
I gotta find some other way to secure my stage time. And so that's how it happened. And then I was like, all of the comedy stuff is happening downtown, like trying to build a scene uptown in Harlem. Everything else is happening in Harlem. I'm like, why not stand up comedy? Right. So we don't have a dedicated comedy club venue yet.
Okay.
But with the scene that myself and others like my man Ish Gaynor are building, hopefully that'll be something that'll happen very soon.
Well, I know in Harlem, and I'm only speaking because of the music side of it. Harlem has always been a place in the past for like jazz artists to come there later on and like do some after hour music and so do you see yourself making comedy like a place where all the comedians can come uptown in Harlem, or are you just trying to find another venue for comedians to just kind of get their break?
No, definitely want to have that sort of space where Harlem is an attraction for comedy, and where comedians want to be like, yo, I gotta go in Harlem, I gotta go up to Harlem, I gotta play in Harlem.
We had Uptown Comedy Club back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, yeah. I mean, but it's been so long since there's been a space like that. It's been a long time in between when we had that space before and like currently, recently, especially with the way Harlem is coming up now with the whole, Frederick Douglass Restaurant Row situation and all of that, so much, 125th Street becoming Times Square North. You know. So
What
Thank you, please. That's
so I know you said you're trying to secure a stagnant venue in Harlem and things like that. But what upcoming projects, if any, do you have coming up? Just because I love seeing comedians who aren't like so mainstream per se, like
on the come up.
Just because it's like I feel that you guys are so much more relatable. You guys are hungry, you're funny, like your craft is like you are always perfecting your craft, and I think sometimes people lose the essence of that. So it's like what do you have coming up?
Well, I will take that credit. I haven't written a new joke in like a week, but I will take that credit. Always grinding and just being on it. But I got a show later on this afternoon. I'm hosting with my boy Menno Fernandez at it's called the Weird Uncle Show. And
I hope that's not about you, Pumpkin.
Well, I think we all have our moments of weirdness. Let's embrace that. As long as it don't get too weird. Don't go buying chimps and having sleepovers with children.
I knew you was gonna say that.
I'm sorry.
Please.
I'm sorry.
You right. I knew you was gonna say not that uncle's house.
It was out of my mouth before.
You don't want to go hang out with Uncle Mike?
Nah.
Look.
Nah.
Don't sit on Uncle Mike's lap.
No, not that uncle. Not that uncle.
Nah, man.
We all had that uncle.
Yeah. There's a lot
I ain't
more
had
uncles
that
like that than
Yes, you did. You
than
didn't know
people.
you had that uncle.
Nah, I had
We all had that uncle.
Man, I had one Uncle Richard. All he wanted to do was fish.
So I'm doing a Weird Uncle Show.
Weird Uncle Show.
And that's at the Parkside Lounge.
Oh, okay.
Down on Houston. So that's today, 5:30, 6 o'clock. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then tomorrow, I've got my first show at Barthalia. It's connected to Symphony Space.
Oh.
So that's at 95th Street and Broadway, and it's called Stand Up Philosopher.
Okay.
And that's a line from, if any of you all are familiar with, I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan.
So high, yeah.
So, History of the World is one of my favorite movies.
God.
And he played a comic in ancient Greece who his job was stand-up philosopher. So I named the show after that. And plus, just to get a little nerdy, get into my Jeopardy side, Thalia is the muse of the Greek muse of comedy and idyllic poetry. So
you really have to know a lot to be a comedian. I know in these days and times. What do you think that you type of comedy or style that you have? I don't know the different ones, but I would imagine there's styles of storytelling versus dark or something like that. But
there's storytelling. There's dark comedy. There's,
it is that. Okay.
There's one-liners. There are a lot of different styles out there. I feel like my style is somewhere in between what and so I'm somewhere in that space in between those two points.
What?
I'm somewhere in there.
What is that? What is that?
Yeah, what's what?
What? What's what?
I just, I have thoughts and ideas, and I don't know that they necessarily translate, but it's fun to stand up in front of strangers and talk to them about it. And it's also hilarious that I decided finally on stand-up comedy because I hate talking to people, strangers, but
that is interesting.
That's very interesting. But how does one follow you? Like, I know there's some people who are big YouTube people. There's some people who are big on like Facebook or Instagram and just kind of getting that following out there. How do we follow Pumkin Escobar?
Oh yeah, that's excellent question. I am on Instagram at p.esco, P-D-O-T-E-S-C-O, because people will put the dot in there, but I like to spell shit out.
It's P dot. P dot. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
P dot. E-O-T. Dot.
I don't know.
P dot Esco. That's complicated.
I don't know why I'm this way. But I also have Instagram for the show. The show title, I do 3 shows right about now, and the umbrella is Pumkin Escobar and Friends. So it's underscore in between, Pumkin _ Escobar _ and _ Friends. I'm glad they don't charge you for underscores.
So let me ask you this. Let's digress for a second. I know that I hear a lot of great comedians, mainstream comedians, or comedians that have made it, that talk about the amount of time that they had to put in before they got their quote unquote big break. Mm-hmm. Most of these guys tell you that they were on the circuit for 10 plus years before they had their break.
Yeah.
How long has yours been?
I'm trying to circumvent that because I ain't got time like that. Mm-hmm. So, but technically, you know, I returned to stand-up comedy after about a 12-year hiatus in 2014. So it's 19. So I am inside of year number 5.
Okay.
That's correct. The math is correct.
Math is correct on
yeah.
that. Math is good on that.
It's income tax season. You got to make sure your math good right now.
Math is good on that.
So when you do stand-up comedy, you really got to have tough skin because people may not laugh at you. And so I think I went to one of your shows and I laughed. But how far, like when did you realize, okay, I'm going to still do this no matter what people think? And have you bombed before? And
I bombed like a maniac.
How did you what's the response like when you bomb? From you and the people?
You know, there's nothing worse than when you turn a room full of human beings into crickets. There's nothing worse than that. You know, like you had that power. It's a power that you don't want to have. But I bombed at Caroline's.
Ooh,
yeah. You know Rudy Rush. Mm-hmm. So Rudy Rush was in town for he was doing a couple of shows at Caroline, so he hits me up. He's like, "Yo, you want to guest spot?" I'm like, "Yeah." But it did not go. It did not go well for me. Cats from the Block was in the audience.
Oh no!
It got back to the block that I bombed at Caroline's before I left the building.
Wow.
Yeah, it got back. You know, but I'm like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen, and you can't be discouraged by it. Okay. You gotta take bombing in stride. Now Facebook wants me to be friends with every comedian that is on Facebook in the greater New York area. So it's always suggesting people you may know, So, but, so I see sometimes people, they kind of post about how they discouraged because I'm like, yo, you got to embrace bombing. You got to embrace it because it's going to happen. And if you don't embrace it, when it happens, then you get discouraged. Then you kind of start to question whether you should be doing this. Right. It's gonna happen, yo. If Dave Chappelle can bomb, anybody can bomb. You're not special.
Right.
Just eat that, hold that L, rub it into your skin, and make it, it'll make you stronger, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah, you better than me. I walk up stage like, F y'all.
I know people who have, they thought that they could do it, like you talked about, like people, being funny, like, funny with their friends funny. And then they thought that, people always tell people, you should do stand-up comedy. No one's ever told me that.
It was a little surprise for a lot of us.
Yes, I know it was. I know it was a shock. But
I don't know how it could have been a shock because just sitting there listening to you and watching your mannerisms, it's just like a natural. Yeah, it's just natural.
I don't know. I don't know.
When you're around a whole bunch of funny people,
molecularly, I'm up way earlier than I should be, and I've had coffee, so I don't really know what's going on with synapses.
Thank you for coming.
You see the language? I watch a lot of Jeopardy.
Oh, big shout out to Alex Trebek.
Yes. God bless Alex Trebek.
Situation.
He's a favorite person of mine.
I guess one of the next things I want to know before you get out of here is I want to know from you, what is the next big thing for Pumkin Escobar? Because I know you have the shows that are coming up now, or you may have shows next week, but what is on the next for that next step, that next level for Pumkin Escobar? What are you trying to do with this?
Well, the goal is to get past, past that clubs in NYC. You know, so that's the goal. But got to take steps, and it's kind of it's a lot when you're producing shows to get out there and get on shows and spots. I do a lot of shows. They're not in comedy clubs proper. You know what I'm saying? So to get back into regularly in the clubs, I was at a Gotham Comedy Club the other night. To see a show, and that club atmosphere is so different, and it's I gotta get back into that, back into the clubs and get past and just do regular shows there. So residency at a club, and then past regular shows, professional gigs,
And just take it one
Acting?
step at a time.
No,
No acting.
no.
Not yet.
Maybe writing,
I-
writing, and behind the scenes stuff like that.
I was just about to say that.
Let me ask you this. What do you think about this transition that Peele has made from taking his stand up or whatever he did into where he is now with movies and stuff like that?
Yo, I didn't see it, but it was super
It's excellent.
dope.
Yeah,
It is
excellent.
super dope.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see all of the stuff that who knew he had this mind for horror like
Oh my gosh.
like he does. But when I saw on Twitter the trailer for Get
Us.
Out,
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, this is a black people's horror movie. This is black horror.
real horror.
That was.
It's real hard.
This is black folks.
I live
horror.
it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
So
Yeah.
we gotta close out.
I was about to say.
I can keep going.
What-
P.
you
No, we
said
don't.
P.
Thank you.
Esco on
Esco on Instagram and on Twitter as well. So if I could get one or two people to like my tweets,
okay, one or
they
two.
are good. They are good. Just no one sees them.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna get that out there. We're gonna get that Twitter out there. We're gonna get that Instagram out there for P. Esco. We're gonna make sure we help get our own up into that next level. And then where's the two shows that you got coming up this afternoon and
Weird
tomorrow?
Uncle this afternoon, 5:30 at Parkside Lounge,
Okay.
317 Houston, I believe it is. And tomorrow, Stand Up Philosopher at Barthalia. Got some really dope comics, some very funny people. It's hosted by the amazing V. Lentz. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And so that's tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Pumkin Escobar in the house. Thank you so much for coming on Point Experience,
P.
Pumpkin.
Thank you guys
Thank
for
you,
having
brother.
me. This was awesome.
It was awesome to get to meet you and all that, and I wish you nothing but success on your journey.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be right back.